I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
For every one of the 18 hours I am in the Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid as a Disney lead actress. They've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now, and how they had her tweet out like a little, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her."
Yeah, I mean, it's about a love story because that's what the point of the film is, and I'm sorry that chivalry and a man pursuing you is now deemed as stalking, which now it's kind of making sense why men are opting out of the dating scene.
I say, if I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid every hour that it is streamed online.
And we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
This weird feminist thing where her heroine cannot be in love or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern day America must make that choice. So she just encapsulates everything that most of us cannot stand about modern day feminism and the left in general. People have real problems, and no one gives if she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary, which is not calculated by the hour.
I'm a narcissist. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. And then it became like, I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part.
Welcome back to Pop Flash, where the fairy dust fades and the real drama hits hard. The Snow White 2025 remake was supposed to be Disney's next big legacy hit, but according to rumors, it's spiraling into one of the most controversial disasters the studio has ever faced. From casting backlash to social media outrage, this project has turned into a PR nightmare, and the movie hasn't even been released yet. It all started with Rachel Zegler. Instead of celebrating the original 1937 classic, Rachel publicly criticized it. She called the storyline outdated. She mocked the prince. She questioned why any woman would need saving in today's world. Her words didn't sit well. The internet erupted. Clips from her interviews went viral, not for the right reasons. Fans accused her of disrespecting the source material. Critics said Disney had lost touch. Hashtags like "Not My Snow White" started trending, and the backlash only got louder. According to rumors, Disney panicked. Internal meetings were held. Marketing plans were reportedly reworked. Insiders say execs were stunned by how quickly public opinion turned against their lead star, and the damage didn't stop there. Rachel kept giving interviews. The tone didn't change. Every new soundbite added fuel to the fire. According to rumors, even some Disney insiders began distancing themselves from the film. It was supposed to be a modern reimagining. Instead, it became a lightning rod for controversy, and this was just the beginning. After the backlash exploded, things behind the scenes reportedly got messy. According to rumors, Disney rushed into damage control. But instead of fixing things, they made it worse. The script was torn apart. Entire scenes were rewritten, then rewritten again. Characters were reshaped. Dialogue was altered. Tone shifted. Rumors say it got to a point where even the cast didn't know what version of the story they were filming anymore. Continuity became a nightmare. Insiders claim the constant reshoots created chaos on set. Scenes had to be redone from scratch, with lighting, costumes, and even plot lines changing week to week. One dramatic moment, a powerful face-off between Snow White and the evil queen, was completely cut. Why? Rumors say the tone was too aggressive for Disney's new image. Others say it just didn't fit the confused direction of the final version. Morale on set dropped fast. According to whispers, the cast and crew were frustrated. There were scheduling issues, budget concerns, delays piled up, and worst of all, Disney couldn't agree on what kind of movie they were making anymore. Was it a bold reimagining? A tribute to the original? A modern feminist reboot? No one knew for sure. And it showed. Fans who saw leaks or test screenings called it disjointed. Critics hinted at identity crisis level storytelling. According to rumors, even execs began questioning whether they should just pull the plug entirely. And all of this chaos, it was about to boil over into something even bigger. Because while the cameras were still rolling, another storm was brewing between the film's two biggest stars. Just when things couldn't get more chaotic, they did. According to rumors, the tension on set reached a breaking point, and right at the center, a clash between two queens, Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot, Snow White and the Evil Queen. But this drama wasn't just scripted, it was real, and it was personal. Behind the scenes, sources say their dynamic grew icy. At first, it was quiet, small disagreements about tone, delivery, and direction. But rumors say those whispers turned into full-blown arguments over creative control. Rachel reportedly wanted a grittier, more independent version of Snow White, a character who rejected traditional romance and embraced modern ideals. Gal, on the other hand, allegedly pushed to honor the darker, theatrical flair of her Evil Queen, something closer to the classic fairy tale vibe. And Disney, caught in the middle, again. Directors were reportedly forced to walk a tightrope between two very different visions. According to insiders, tension was so thick during certain scenes, production had to pause just to cool everyone down. The worst part? It started leaking. Crew members allegedly began sharing cryptic posts on social media. Fans picked up on the shift in energy. Behind closed doors, execs were scrambling to protect the film's image. But the internet had already picked up the scent of drama. According to rumors, things escalated when Gal Gadot reportedly refused to film a rewritten scene unless certain dialogue was changed. Rachel, meanwhile, was said to be frustrated with the way her character was being softened after fan backlash. What was supposed to be an empowering remake was turning into a backstage power struggle. And that iconic showdown scene between Snow White and the Evil Queen, rumors say it was quietly scrapped. Some say the vibe was too intense. Others claim the actresses refused to perform it together. Whatever the truth is, that scene never made it into the final cut, and fans will never see what could have been a legendary moment between two major stars. By now, production was spiraling. The film was losing its direction. The cast was reportedly at odds, and Disney's golden remake was quickly becoming a cursed project. And just when everyone thought it couldn't get worse, Disney made a move no one expected. It all seemed like a perfect storm. The Snow White remake, which was once destined to be Disney's next big blockbuster, was now teetering on the edge of complete chaos. And just when it seemed like it couldn't get worse, Disney made the boldest move yet. They pulled the plug on the UK premiere. No notice, no fanfare, just silence. One of the biggest releases in the studio's 2025 slate was supposed to make waves across the globe. The red carpet event was primed for A-list stars, flashing cameras, and glowing reviews. But instead, Disney slammed the brakes. Rumors say the higher-ups were in full-blown panic mode. Insiders claim there was genuine fear the event would be nothing short of a disaster. Fans who were already enraged on social media would have shown up with signs, picket lines, and a platform to publicly tear the film apart. And that was just the beginning. Disney's next surprise move? They delayed the streaming debut on Disney+, a move that took everyone by surprise. According to rumors, the executives feared that releasing the film on their platform would only escalate the backlash. They worried it would fuel hate-watching at a level they weren't prepared for. Social media already had the movie trending for all the wrong reasons, and putting it directly into people's homes could have just amplified the hate-fueled buzz. So instead of a seamless quick release to avoid any damage, they held back. The film, which had been planned for a release on Disney+, became a ticking time bomb. For Rachel Zegler, the situation was even worse. Sources close to the actress say she was devastated by the cancellation. She had been pushing hard to make the movie more accessible, especially for younger audiences. She envisioned the film being part of the cultural conversation on streaming platforms, where it could garner the support it desperately needed. But instead of securing her vision, Zegler found herself stuck in a disaster of her own making. Reports say she felt betrayed by the studio's decisions. Her hope that the film would find redemption through streaming was dashed, leaving her frustrated and uncertain of where the film and her career was headed. The impact of these cancellations wasn't just felt by Zegler, it rippled through the entire production team. The marketing department was hit hard too. Plans for press tours, interviews, and promotional events were suddenly scrapped or postponed indefinitely. The buzz Disney had hoped to generate with splashy events turned into nothing more than whispers behind closed doors. The studio's social media channels? Crickets. Meanwhile, the studio executives were scrambling to figure out how they could salvage the film. Rumors say damage control became the top priority. But by this point, it wasn't just the film's reception that was on the line, it was Disney's entire reputation. The higher-ups at Disney knew that if they messed this up, it could be disastrous for their brand. If the movie bombed after all this hype, they risked losing even more than just a flop. it could damage the legacy of their beloved animated classics. They were now faced with a reality where every decision felt like a potential disaster waiting to happen. But despite all their efforts to control the situation, something was crystal clear by now. Disney was in over its head. They had tried to reimagine one of their most iconic fairy tales, but instead of breaking new ground, they found themselves caught in an avalanche of controversy. And with the premiere canceled, the streaming release delayed, and the film's future hanging in the balance, the question loomed over them all. Was there still a chance for the Snow White remake to be salvaged? Or had Disney truly just created its biggest nightmare? The final fallout? It was coming, and it was going to be huge. And then came the real fallout. Disney had tried everything to hold it together, but the damage was done. The Snow White remake, once intended to be a dazzling addition to the Disney legacy, was now on the brink of disaster. The studio's biggest mistake? Thinking they could weather this storm with quick fixes. According to insiders behind the scenes, it was clear that Disney underestimated the scope of the backlash. They never imagined a project this big could spiral out of control so fast. Once the premiere was canceled and the streaming release postponed, the industry and fans alike began to ask the hard questions. Was Disney's Snow White remake even salvageable at this point? Or had the cultural and public relations damage already reached a point of no return? As the weeks passed, the whispers grew louder. Disney insiders, now more openly frustrated, allegedly vented about the studio's inability to adapt in real time. According to rumors, the blame game began, with some pointing fingers at the creative direction, while others blamed the marketing team for the film's failure to connect with audiences. And then, the real kicker came. The public fallout, the reviews, and the backlash didn't stop. Fans weren't just upset, they were angry. Petitions emerged calling for the movie to be scrapped entirely. Disney's decision to reimagine Snow White was painted as nothing more than a politically driven stunt, and Rachel Zegler's comments about the original film did nothing to ease the tension. According to rumors, many fans felt betrayed by her remarks, feeling like they were being told their beloved animated classic was no longer good enough. Meanwhile, the clash of egos on set, particularly between Zegler and Gal Gadot, didn't help. What was supposed to be a partnership of two powerful actresses quickly turned into a public war of words, and fans picked sides. On social media, the hashtag #boycott Snow White started trending. Disney was suddenly under attack from all angles, from critics who felt the remake was disrespectful to the original, to fans who felt alienated by the film's new direction. And just when it seemed like it couldn't get worse for Disney, rumors began to surface about future financial troubles related to the film. Reports indicated that the production costs were spiraling, with the studio pouring millions into reshoots, new marketing strategies, and last-minute edits. In fact, Disney was said to be extremely worried about the potential loss they'd incur from releasing a film that no one seemed interested in watching. Not in theaters, and certainly not on Disney+. Snow White, once thought to be a slam dunk for the studio, was now a growing financial liability. But the damage went deeper. The wider implications were now becoming painfully obvious. Disney wasn't just dealing with a box office flop. They were facing a cultural war, a backlash that felt less like an isolated incident and more like a reflection of their broader struggles with reboots, diversity, and creative risk-taking. Was this the end of an era for Disney? For decades, the studio had been synonymous with beloved animated classics. But now, with a tarnished legacy, fans were questioning if the magic of their storytelling was gone forever. And if Disney couldn't get Snow White right, what did that mean for the future of their entire slate of live-action remakes? The real question wasn't just about Snow White anymore. It was about Disney's future as a studio. The dust began to settle, but the impact of the Snow White controversy would echo through Disney for years to come. The film, now fully marred by scandal, controversy, and escalating costs, was released, but it was a shell of what it could have been. At this point, Disney had no choice but to push the film out the door. The premiere had been scrapped, the press tours were non-existent, and the film's reputation was already in tatters. But they had to release it, or risk losing even more money. According to rumors, the film was quietly shuffled into theaters and onto Disney+, hoping it would generate at least some buzz in the streaming world. But the damage was already done. The reviews were scathing, and the social media backlash only grew louder. Fans didn't just dislike the remake, they rejected it entirely. For them, this was a betrayal of the original Snow White they grew up with, a reimagining that missed the mark in every way possible. Behind closed doors, Disney executives reportedly struggled to put a positive spin on what was becoming their worst-performing live-action remake to date. Sources say they knew the Snow White debacle had damaged their brand more than just financially. It had tainted the trust they had spent decades building with audiences. The floodgates of criticism were wide open, and every corner of Disney's future creative direction was now under fire. Was this the end of Disney's golden era? Some insiders believe it was. They claim that Disney's relentless pursuit of reimagining its animated classics in the name of inclusivity and modern relevance had backfired spectacularly. For all the efforts to update the story, Snow White had lost the very heart of what made it special in the first place, and in doing so, alienated both hardcore fans and casual viewers alike. Rachel Zegler, already dealing with the backlash surrounding her portrayal of Snow White, faced a new wave of media scrutiny. Her comments about the original film, along with her public tensions with Gal Gadot, continued to haunt her career, with critics calling her out of touch and too divisive. The hope that Zegler could rise as a new star for Disney was quickly fading, and many began to question if she could recover from the mess the film had become. As for Gal Gadot, her involvement in the remake was overshadowed by the behind-the-scenes drama. While the evil queen character had the potential to be iconic, Gadot's performance was largely overshadowed by the public feud and the mounting controversy surrounding the production. Meanwhile, Disney, facing mounting financial losses, shifted its focus to a different battle: rebuilding its reputation. Behind the scenes, the studio began to reevaluate its entire approach to live-action remakes. Would they keep reimagining their animated classics with the same formula, or was it time for a major overhaul? And in the midst of all this turmoil, one question lingered in the air. Could Disney ever return to the magic that made them the most powerful entertainment company in the world? Or had Snow White just revealed the cracks in their foundation? In the end, Disney was forced to confront the undeniable truth: not every beloved classic can or should be reimagined. The Snow White remake was a stark reminder that some stories are sacred, and while change is inevitable, some things, like nostalgia and the magic that originally made Disney great, are best left untouched. The end, or is it? While the Snow White remake may have closed one chapter of Disney's ongoing saga, the fallout has set the stage for what could be a radical shift in the studio's approach to its classic vault. What happens next for Disney and its iconic legacy remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: they can't ignore the lessons learned from the Snow White disaster.